All right. This is a quick tutorial on Figma, just the basics. This is the platform that we're planning on using. It's usually a prototyping and UX UI platform, but it actually works pretty well for poster making graphics. And I feel like the tools are actually super intuitive once you know where they are. I'm gonna quickly share my screen, get us started. So the reason why we're using Figma is because when we actually end up printing this zine, we want the dimensions on everyone's pages to fit a certain dimension that's like 8.5 by 11, which is a standard printing paper. And if you guys um, work in different like Word or something, it just might make it really hard to format stuff later on. But this is our shared Rainydawg zine. I can send out emails probably like in the next zine meeting. We'll ask for people's emails. But at this bottom bar right here, this is your um, toolbox. From the left, you have like a select button. You can use your hand scale. I just usually use the move function. And then this is really important because this is a frame. So for a frame, then you click on that. You can pick a dimension on here, and I'm in paper right now. And the letter dimensions are in pixels right now, so that's 612 by 792, but that actually translates to 8.5 by 11, which is a standard printing paper. So if you click on letter, it'll actually create a new frame like this, and then every single element that you add into it um, will be kind of sandwiched within this box, and it'll be grouped together. And that'll be really important later down the line when a bunch of people are using this shared Figma, because it'll just like organize all the pieces that you have. So what I mean by that is, let's say I want to add a shape into this. I add a shape here on the left side here on letter. This is your frame letter three, but it actually adds that rectangle as a sub object within that frame. And that could be the same for a text if I add in Rainydawg. Um, Rainydawg practice. It'll put that within this frame and it won't actually put it into the other frames. So like let's say you're actually working on a page yourself. Um, it'll all just be in that frame. But just for the sake of the scene, we'll be working in this frame called letter. Um, and when you guys first start making your pages, it'd be ideal if you guys actually clicked on this frame and then rotated it 90 degrees so that um, it's kind of like horizontal instead of vertical, because the zine will be split in the middle here and we'll fold it. Um, so that's just kind of basics on the frames. So I'll kind of just delete that and move these to the side. So for type, if you guys want to like start writing text and stuff, it's this fourth one on the bottom that has a T. And you can make a box as big or as small as you want. Um, and you can start typing like Rainydawg is making a zine for 2025. And then on this right side, this is where you're going to be able to customize a lot of the stuff for your type. So in typography on this part, there's actually a huge list of typefaces. Um, and I think they actually get it from Google Fonts. So it has a bunch of different styles. Um, like pick what you guys want to pick, but we'll actually like display a couple um overall fonts that we want for the zine. But yeah, feel free to just like play around with it. You can highlight it, pick a font, like inner, and then once you're in this, you can actually change stuff to be bold. But a feature that I really like is this kind of like button right here that gives you the basic um, uses of the fonts. But let's say that I wanted to make this font all capitalized. I could press this button that changes to uppercase. If I wanted to make it centered, it would center on the page in that frame. Um, and there's all these other like things that you could probably play around with, but that's for basic for type. Um, and then the shape function is also really fun because it's the third button right here, down here. If you press on that little caret emoji on the down, it'll give you um, it will give you rectangle, line, arrow, ellipse, polygon, star. So for instance, let's say I want to create a rectangle, it'll give me the dimensions of it. So like width and height. And within each shape in Figma, they actually can you can vectorize it, which means that you can customize each side length. And you do that by double clicking it. So when I double click this, it'll have the 4 points that exist within the rectangle, but then but in between each rectangle, you can actually change the shape in ways that you want to. So that's like the vector feature, just a double tap. And if you want to like, let's say instead of having these rigid lines, I want to make it kind of smooth it out, you'll have this feature down here that has this curved point to point bend tool. And you can just press that and then press this and it'll bend the tool or bend the vector or that line. So that's rectangle. Line is also really fun. You can just draw a line, and then within that line, you can go to the right side, is where you customize each of these different types of shapes. And let's say I want to make this line thicker. I can just drag left or right to make it thicker and thinner. And you can change the color here, change the, um, I forget what it is, transparency or opacity. Another really cool thing that before I go on to the next one is polygons. So like, let's for instance say that you want to create a pentagon, but they use the triangle as the most preliminary shape. But in this shape, you can change the radius at the top here to make it smooth out. And then on the bottom right, you can create counts by moving up and down. And it'll just end up being a circle at the end. But I think it'll be more clear once I put this radius back. But let's say you want to make a pentagon, grab this bottom right corner, and then you can move it up, and then it'll create 4 count, 5 count pentagon, and up to I think like 60. Yeah, to make a circle. And for an ellipse, this is also really cool. You can make a circle, but then you have this arc thing here, which kind of lets you play around with different arcs within the circle. But then let's say that I make this arc trying to make like Pac-Man, but then I don't like Pac-Man, so I want to make target. Then I can grab the middle point and then pull it out, and it'll create kind of a circle. And I can just play around with all these different types of features all together. I can make a circle and make it whatever. Okay. Hopefully you guys are still following along. Um, but yeah, grid system is also really helpful. So let's say you're in your frame in Figma. I know that you guys also wanted to like talk about like design, but in design they use grid systems to kind of like lay out information in a very structured way. Um, so on this right side, if you go all the way down to layout grid, you can press the plus button and that'll give you a grid of just like 10 pixels. But I like to kind of start with columns here. So like let's say 5 columns. I can change that by pressing this button to make me maybe give me 4 columns. And then that kind of gives you like a transparent grid system that you can like put information into the red parts. Um, but I'm gonna add another grid and I'm gonna call that rows. And instead of 5 rows, let's say I want 8 rows. This gives me a grid where I can start punching in information so that it looks more organized. I'm gonna type Rainydawg 60. And then I can start moving this information around so that it kind of fits into the grid. And I can go into that more later. But this is just the basics. But grid systems are super helpful for organizing information. Kind of just give it like hierarchy. Um, yeah. Last one is plugins. I don't really use a lot of plugins. Kind of just play around with a lot of like the vectors, but I can show you my favorite one. So for this, say it's a circle. I want to trace the image. Actually, you know what? I'm just not going to include the plugins. Yeah, that's the basic rundown. Um, yeah, also, if you have any more like questions on anything that I said in this video, maybe we'll have like another Figma like zine meeting where we can just go through how to use Figma or transfer the stuff that you've already created to Figma. But yeah, I hope this was helpful.